So what we see is that the biggest myth around AI is that you can somehow apply a large language model and ask it to solve general problems that are the basis or core to actually deliver value into a business. And a lot of times people fail to realize that in order to get an AI model to actually be useful, it requires a full software development life cycle, including the analysis and the design and implementation. I don't know whether you experience the same.
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that, when I talk to my reports about, the usage of OpenAI or ChatGPT, they're like, okay, I can provide you with a prompt and, it'll give you an answer. And they seem to think that this is verbatim answer that it's supposed to give you, but in reality, a lot of the things that we ask of OpenAI is intuition based. Those are experience based. One of the things that people don't realize is that this is a predictive text AI, in the sense that it is going to predict what is the expected answer. It doesn't actually understand the content of what you're trying to do. Rather, it is just spitting out language that it knows will be predictably correct.
Yep.
And that is one of the biggest myths that I'm seeing all across the board, and that people actually think that the AI actually understands what it is talking about, when in reality, it is a large language model. That is what it is, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. And also, I mean, at an even more holistic level, I think you get this where people think it's going to displace jobs. I don't want to implement it because it's going to displace, my job. And I think instead, it will help humans do higher level jobs and the more routine jobs that we saw with, robotic process automation, RPA. It's almost like RPA on steroids, right?
Yep.
That it will enable, us as humans to even do more high level jobs and thinking because we have this technology that'll do more of the mundane tasks.
Absolutely. I'm a fervent defender of augmented intelligence, meaning that the joint effort of human intelligence together with AI in order to bring more value to customers, to employees, and so on. So it needs to be this interaction and collaborative work environment that we need to create eventually. And I fully agree about this fear of losing jobs, etc. Yes, some jobs will be to a certain extent affected. Google, a couple of years ago, I think about 10 years ago, reduced its in-house legal counsel number from 400 to 70, thanks to AI. Why? Because you don't need that many people. But when the ATMs came, was it the end of the branch banking? No. But we thought that it would be killing the branch banking at some point. And in fact, it actually empowered branch banking at the same time. So we will need to adapt. And I'm sure it's going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of people who are not necessarily familiar, open to what AI can offer to them. And there will be a learning curve. But those who will be actually harvesting the fruits will be the ones who adapt and learn how to leverage AI.
The fear of losing your job is sort of eclipsing the opportunities that we have in front of us. I'll be very honest with you. I'm very excited about Gen AI. I'm very excited about the opportunities that it presents. But we have to look past the changes that it is bringing in and look at what are the opportunities and what are the benefits that it is actually providing us.
And I think that's absolutely true. So the efficiencies that businesses can gain by applying artificial intelligence to mundane tasks, and especially if you apply it from an end-to-end process, so you actually augment, as you say, the employee to be able to do that task far more efficiently, get to a resolution in a far shorter time. It frees that employee up to do greater value tasks that require a human being within the enterprise.
That is true.
We need to split AI in two categories: Gen AI, as you rightfully mentioned, and predictive AI, and standard models that we've been using for some years now. And Gen AI, I think it's an amazing enabler, and I thank actually Microsoft for coming up with those co-pilots, in their solutions, because it was a very nice learning curve and how we could actually adapt to our specific solutions and built our own proprietary copilots built on the Copilot Studio and Azure OpenAI. And at the end, the purpose is to offer a better customer experience. So that's number one goal. But there, Gen AI, there is difference between Gen AI and Gen AI as well. The case of Air Canada, where the chatbot actually had a hallucination, the AI hallucination, and offered a discount for a grieving son on the airfare, whereas the policy said the exact opposite on how he should process that discount request. And the airline refused to give the discount, and there was a court case that the company lost because at the end of the day, someone has to take the responsibility, the ownership of whatever happens with the AI solution. So I think we have many interesting use cases where not only we can service the customer much easier without requiring thousands of call center agents, but at the same time we have empowered employees that can leverage Gen AI capabilities and functionalities to much more effectively attend the needs of their customers. And I would say, we do it ourselves, but in banking also, Gen AI offers amazing opportunities in, first of all, verifying the quality of the codes. That's one thing when the bank is developing anything in-house. And at the same time, it offers the possibility to reduce risk by processing a large volumes of compliance data and risk-related information. So I would say, where's the borderline? We're just basically scratching the surface right now of what AI can offer to the industry. We will find, learn, and identify new things to do, but at what expense? And that's where the ethics and basically governance topics come to play.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about responsible AI too, as well. Really making sure that on businesses that we have those guardrails in place, so that we are also collectively, even as a tech company, we're collectively looking against even with our competitors and saying, how do we collectively look at making sure responsible AI, not company by company, but by our vertical, right, to make sure that we look at responsible AI.
So when we see the use cases, obviously there's a lot of interest around customer service and how customer service can speed up the answer to a customer's problem and route them to the information that they're looking for in a far more efficient manner. But when we start to look at how that can be applied, we have to employ multiple control planes to actually segregate the comprehension from the action. And then when we start getting into the world of finance, then actually separating again the action of that financial transaction from the AI. So the AI is actually only invoking existing features and functions that exist within the bank, but it doesn't have responsibility for working out how to do those within the bank. And that gives the security to the customer, and also it starts building the trust within the organization that you can actually apply AI to more complex tasks.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and when we talk about complex tasks, stuff like credit decisioning or personalized banking, there are certain opportunities there, but coming from a security background, my security hat basically is screaming right now saying, okay, hey, there is the EU AI Act coming in. You do need to make sure that companies are better prepared for complying with the regulatory laws that are coming up, while at the same time be able to really get the benefit out of the AI modeling in itself. Customer service is a good example, but when we talk about credit decisioning or any of the more financial aspects of it, there are opportunities, but there's also risks. You do have to keep in mind that the EU AI Act will come in, and you will need to comply to it. So it's sort of a tightrope walk at this point, but there are certainly a lot of opportunities there.
And we do know that AI is inherently discriminatory.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
the logic,
I was
if you
gonna say.
apply it, it's inherently discriminatory. So working that out is actually quite key.
I was going to give an example. Ages ago in my early professional life, I was running out of cash and my bank account was a German bank and I had to somehow withdraw money, but my salary had not been yet deposited. And the bank teller said, you know, I know you and I understand your frustration, and you know what, I'll make an exception, I'll advance you the money, and Monday comes, please verify, double check with the bank that your salary has been deposited. AI would not have tolerated that, and that's empathy.
You bring up actually a very good point here, because what you're talking about is the judgment call. You know, it's the intuition-based decision making, which absolutely, you know, in the current state of how AI is, that is not something that we ought to give the AI power to decide on. You know, certainly, automated tasks, stuff that doesn't actually require human intuition, that's definitely something that we can, you know, offload to an AI and say, okay, hey, this increases our efficiencies across the board, but the judgment-based decisions are something that definitely needs to be carefully thought out.
And usually discriminations are on the exceptions, right? It's not the general rule, but that's one particular rule where you end up with court cases with you know, a lot of discrimination or bad publicity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think how Gen AI is creating efficiencies for financial institutions is really in operationalizing those mundane tasks that we've talked about to really, you know, decrease the operational expense, whether that be in risk area on actuarial models. Again, to your point of having the human, you know, looking over and giving that judgment call, but running the model and effectively and efficiently than we've ever seen before. And taking in, you know, all of the attributes very quickly and being able to come to a decision that's overseen at this point by humans is where we see a lot of efficiencies and effectiveness coming in. You know, we also see, and you've mentioned as well, customer experience. I mean, I think that with the latest on GPT 4.0 that just came out, and everybody's seen that in the media. There's also Vasa 1 with Microsoft Research. When you put those two together and you see the physical semblance of someone looking so real, combined with the voice and the ability to talk like we're talking here, I mean, again, back to responsible AI is you're thinking, before I fully release something like this out for public consumption, I need to make sure data privacy and that the guardrails are in place for responsible AI.
Yeah, and we've seen efficiencies in fraud prevention, fraud detection, financial insights, being able to work out complex models and be able to give customers advice around next best action, hyper-personalization, being able to make recommendations specifically tailored to the customer. Those are the things that we're seeing as being really key to the efficiencies of our customers and clients.